Why are you coming forward now? Because this is something that happened back in 2016.
Well, you've got to understand the amount of pressure that we were put under at that time, Paul. I mean, really, we were finished. The only reason we went back, even to tender for it, because I would never have considered tendering it for again. I mean, I'm scared of these people, to be quite honest.
Have you got it now then? Or you
well, how do you mean, have I got it now?
You running, are you involved?
Yeah.
You
well,
are?
Absolutely, yeah, we won the tender. That's okay,
that's what I'll get my head around, is that you lost.
One minute we're not good enough, and the next minute we are, because perhaps maybe that, perhaps because at the end of the day they were a little bit over judicious with us in that meeting. Perhaps this is only my own opinion, and this is all my.
And I appreciate you being careful on your wording, because this is for other people to look into. So you wanted to inquire to find why things happened the way they happened.
I would like to know who authorised two senior civil servants to ask questions about a totally separate company. Do you think investment in Salisbury Street?
Sorry, do you think Howard Quayle was, when he was just telling us on that interview what he knew? I mean, do you think he's personally involved in this?
No, look, I mean, the ministers, they take their briefings from the senior civil servants. And at that time, it would be in the health minister, and I'm sure that would be from the DHSC. I mean, it really depends what he's been told, but I'm sure those officials who interviewed us wouldn't be telling Howard Quayle. I wouldn't have thought anyway.
Okay.
But the point is,
anything else? Anything else on this?
Yeah, there's quite a few points actually, Paul. So let me just try and retrack here. So we've had the meeting. We've been coerced out of it. That's right. So I want to go back to the point that they made, that they were meeting with our co-directors later on. I mean, Howard Quayle said in there, because you asked him a question, well, did the care home operators approach you? And he said, no. Well, actually, the government approached my co-directors, because basically they wanted to clear the way, because if there's no operator involved, then it was clear for them to discuss their problems with bed blocking and 40 beds and people needing this. And of course, they haven't invested in new infrastructure, as Howard Quayle himself said in a recent interview, I think it was with yourself, about this investment should have been going on for 30 years.
Well, Glenside had been pulled down at that stage, and this was obviously the replacement, but now they are looking at Glenside again now, aren't they, to put something else there?
Interesting.
Do they need that space?
I mean, we'll go back to those other points, because
sorry,
we're missing something, but let's just talk quickly about Glenside. Howard Quayle did go on record in your interview to say they had to buy Salisbury Street from the point of view that it was too good to miss, and that it would be cheaper for them to buy that home than to build at Glenside a nursing home there. Well, I found that very hard to believe, because if we can build it for 5.6 and we're using,
but it was ready to go, wasn't it? It was ready. It was ready to go, but Glenside hadn't been.
Yeah, but this isn't the point he's making. He said there were 40 people waiting for the bed, or 38 people waiting for the beds. And that they could not build it as cheaply as they could buy it from Salisbury Street Care Limited.
I questioned that though, didn't I?
You did question it, but you got an answer to that.
Well, no, because I can only go what he says.
From what I see of it is that if they already owned the land at Glenside, and it was a 60 bed rather than 68 bed, which would be cheaper because it's so much per bed, say. It would be cheaper, but if the government, with all its buying power, couldn't build it for the same price as local developers, I find that amazing.
I know I've moved you around very fast.
But the other point, can
you get your point?
Just go back.
I know you have some points.
I just want to go back. I just want to go back to Glenside. Glenside, because it almost seemed in the interview that Glenside was going to be the nursing home that was going to be built, but it's not. Actually, it would never, from what I can see of any record at any time, there was never going to be a nursing home. It was going to be an adult care home without nursing, and it was going to rehouse people from Reitner Bay and Sweetbriar, which, if you combine their registrations for beds, is around about 63, and the new Glenside, Summer Hills, is 60 beds. They're just going to be moved sideways. So all that talk in that interview about, well, this is better news because we'll take Salisbury Street and we can build a nursing home on Glenside. Well, it's never going to be a nursing home, and it's only rehousing. So the actual complement of beds is down by 3. So it's not going forward, because you asked that question about, well, presumably the next one is Glenside. as a nursing home, and Howard Quayle actually refers to it as a nursing home. Okay. I've never known that it was going to be a nursing home.
I'm sure you got the points. Do you want any other points you want to raise? I know there's so much in that video that you were clamouring at.
Well, absolutely.
But as I say, people can watch that other video. We put it back up online.
Okay. So I just want to say, well, how are things going now at Salisbury Street? Well, the premise. I shall ask you that.
How are they going?
Well, exactly. Thank you, Paul. The premise was that the 40 beds would be for service users solely derived from benefits. I mean, if I could just draw quickly something to your attention, there's a statement here on the government website of the 10th of May. In an innovative move, the contract stipulates that the 40 rooms will be available for older people whose nursing care can only be funded through benefits. That's not actually happening. So, because there were very few people, that were available to take those beds, and as I said before,
like
the older people are more affluent.
Yeah, is it £850-ish that the government puts in each?
No, the beds are £812.10 for each one of those, okay. and Dawn paid a contract for all 40 beds, whether they're full or not. Right. Simple as that. So
you get the money regardless?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how it happens. So what's been happening is that those partially funded individuals receiving care there are funding their beds. They're going into those 40 beds when perhaps they should be in the 28 beds. Well, not perhaps. They were always supposed to be in the 28 beds. When you say private, I mean, it's just how they're funded. I mean, private's
it's the same thing, a very good word, you pay really. Towards it.
Exactly. It's all about funding. There's three main categories, isn't there? There's those individuals who solely derive their benefit, a place in there, and the government pays for all their bed costs. That's what the 40 beds are all about, and that's why they went to Tynwald for 7.9 million. The middle ground, who should be in the 28 beds, pay from a mixture of social benefits and private funds. And then, of course, there's the private funders, where everything is paid privately. So you've got in these 40 beds now people who have private assets, wealthy people in there. You have partially funded people and very few 100%.
And yet the government's still paying you for those beds.
Well, anyway. The government's paying us for the bed, but my point is, why is the taxpayer paying for those beds when the people in those beds, that's how all nursing homes are funded. This home was bought for the premise for those people who couldn't get places in other nursing homes because no care home would take them at £812.10.
Okay. Dave, I mean, there's so much in this. Is there any other things we've missed or quickly you want to get to? Because we have, I know it's quite a long interview here. So.
Well, it is, but look, this is a quick couple of points. The Treasury are still spitting out benefit payments to clients' families, for example. So people are going into these beds, the families are still receiving benefits, and procurement are paying us the bed rate. Yeah. So which basically means that if I took myself in this example, and I was a semi-funded client, and I was paying, I had £400 of benefits, then if the bed is £812.10, then I'd be paying another £412.10 out of my personal monies. Now, the government will be paying the £400 to that individual, maybe to the family or maybe into their own bank account or whatever. This is not happening in all cases, but it's happening. Then what should happen, that 400 should be reconciled against the 140,000 we're getting a month for these beds, or the £810. But it's not. And the other point is then that if that person's only getting £400 in benefits, they have to make up the other £412.10. They're not paying the top up to the government to cover that bed.
Who are they paying it to?
Nobody. It's not being paid. But they shouldn't be in that bed in the first place, Paul.
Right.
That's the whole point. They should be in the 28 beds. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying there?
But this is, and you want an inquiry into all this? Or
absolutely, because, well, to me, it's mismanagement of taxpayers' money. I mean, the purchase is all wrong.
But I mean, aren't you happy getting this money? I mean, why are you rocking the boat almost? Is it, aren't you?
Well, actually, the whole funding model for this was based on the 28 beds from partially funded and fully private funded clients would fill up very quickly, and this would make the home very secure from a financial financial model. But what's happening is where we should have been probably full within 4 months, we've only got 15 private clients,
so
because the clients, well, the clients that we've got are 100% funded. They're funding that care, but they're almost as rare perhaps as the 100% DHSC clients who are 100% funded.
Are you going to the new?
There's just one last thing. One last thing, Paul. The other mismanagement thing is that none of the clients within the last 8-9 months of the home being open have received their personal allowances. And this has caused a lot of consternation for the home.
Oh, is this the money you get for toiletries and things like that?
Yeah, well, that's right. It's for personal expenditure. Now, it was never in the contracts that we'd ever deal with that. The government were to pay that to clients' families through smart cards.
So they would buy their own stuff?
So the clients' families or the individual clients would have that money paid into the bank account, and they could draw it down. And they could put some in our safe, for example, if they wanted us to look after liquid cash.
What's going on here?
Well, what's happening is that they've just not got it. So we've had irate clients coming to us saying,
"Where's my money?
Where's my money?" Now the Treasury had sent out a letter stating that Adorn had was being paid the benefits.
This is your company?
Which was totally wrong.
Yeah.
After about 6 or 7 months, I think it was back in November, they finally sent out a letter to the families to say, well, actually, that was a big mistake. And they apologised to the families. They didn't apologise to us, we didn't get a letter, but saying that the Treasury had it and they would make this money up. But that was back in November, and it still hasn't happened.
So the money's not got to the people?
It's not got to the people, which I think is quite scandalous, really.
Well, there's so many things there. Are you going to the new health minister about this? You're talking to...
Yeah, I'm actually listening to him on Manx Radio today at 12 o'clock, and he seems a very intelligent, articulate man who wants to make things happen. Well, I'm asking for a public inquiry. I mean, if that's how it works, great. I'd love to meet with him. But he did say, more people need to put their head above the parapet and, talk about where the failings are. There are a massive amount of failings with the financial management of Salisbury Street and how it was procured. And that's what I'd like to see sorted out.
Okay. And once again, just so you know, the interview is up there with Howard Quayle that did in 2016, in June 2016, when he was in charge of health, and you can see what he said and what's gone on here today. And the story will obviously continue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, thank you. Thank you, Paul.